In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 10 posing mistakes that you could be making and how to correct them. Now, we're not all born models with an innate ability to automatically look great on camera from their first photo. No one is. If someone goes into modeling, they've had years of practice and years of making mistakes, correcting them, maybe modeling school. If you don't know my background, I went into modeling at a very young age. When I was in high school, I went to modeling school. I've practiced a lot on how to walk and how to show up on camera. I've learned all these things and I've made all the mistakes and more many times over again. In this video, I'm going to help you shortcut your success. So the first mistake is being too stiff. That's normal, it happens, especially if you're awkward or shy on camera, you tend to be a little bit too stiff. One way around this is to just create movement in your images. This will actually help you naturally without having to try hard to not be stiff. A couple of ways you can create movement is by walking towards the camera. If there's a little bit of wind, you can use that wind to your advantage by standing in a way where like your hair is blowing naturally. If you're wearing a dress, you could hold the corners of your dress and kind of move them around. Flipping your hair, that's another great way to create movement. Another big mistake is forgetting about your face. If you're taking like a full body shot, you tend to focus so much about how the pose with your arms and your hands looks, and then you totally forget about your facial expression, and then you take a whole bunch of photos and you're like, I can't use any of these because my face looks, I don't know, like a deer in headlights, as an example. So always work on your facial expressions. So the next mistake is wrong hand placement or no hand placement. So you're not doing anything with your hands in the photo. A couple of tips is you can kind of put your hands together and maybe hold them near your face like this, or you can hold a prop. That's an easy way. If you have a coffee cup, some sunglasses, if you're wearing a dress, you can hold the corners of your dress. If you have a purse, a hat, a phone, you can even take flowers. Those could be props that you can use to give your hand something to do. The other thing you can do is if you're near a wall, a tree, you can use that tree and kind of lean on it with one hand, or kind of place your hand on it gently. And that's another way to give your hand something to do, or to even just kind of play with your hair. Now, the other mistake is squishing your hands to your body. So if you notice here, my arm, if I squish it against my body, you can tell it looks bigger. And if I just move it away from my body, it looks normal and natural. So don't squish your limbs and your arms to your body. Just kind of separate them, and it looks much better. The other thing that you can do is to create space and create triangles. So create space between your arms, from your body, your legs. The other big mistake is bad posture or slouching. Now, this is something that to this day, I still struggle with all the time, and I tend to slouch a lot. So my husband is actually the one that takes most of my photos, and he always reminds me, otherwise I'm gonna end up with a whole bunch of photos that I can't use because the pose just looks horrible. Because if you slouch, it'll ruin the whole photo. If you have somebody that's taking your photos, ask them to please remind you if you're slouching in your photos. And if you don't have anybody and you're using a timer on your phone or on your camera, again, go back every 5 photos and check to make sure that you're not slouching. Look for mistakes that you need to change. The next big mistake is actually your camera angle. This is very important to pay attention to when you set up the shot, because if your camera angle is too high and it's looking down on you, it tends to distort your body and it makes you look short, and it makes you look like your head is larger, and it just looks off. Definitely pay attention to that. And if you do want to do it in a way that the camera is looking down on you, do it in a way where it doesn't look like it's distorting your body. This example, you can see in this photo, the camera angle is looking down on me, but it doesn't look distorted because of the way I was sitting on the sand. This photo, you can see my pose mixed with the camera angle distorts my body and it doesn't look flattering at all. The next mistake is not using your surroundings or not interacting with your surroundings. For example, if you're at a beach and there's some palm trees, you have the water, the sand, right? So there's ways you can do this. In this photo, I'm really interacting with my surroundings. You can see I'm using the palm tree to make it very creative. Another way you can interact with your surroundings is like, let's say you're taking a photo and you're in the water, maybe try and splash, play with the water. And that is another way that you can create movement, a really easy way to do that. And you're interacting with your surroundings. So if there's a fence, you can be leaning on the fence, leaning against the fence, kind of looking through it. These are ways that you can use your surroundings to create a beautiful image. The next mistake is distributing your weight equally. So what do I mean by that? Is instead of just standing just straight, lean on one leg maybe a little bit. Put more weight on one side of the body versus the other, and that's another great tip to make your photos and poses look more versatile. And as I was editing this video, I realized I forgot to film mistake number 9. And mistake number 9 is always doing the same poses over and over again. And I know it can be a little bit challenging when you're starting out and maybe you're shy and you tend to stick to the same poses that work. But at some point, you definitely have to come out of that comfort zone and start to experiment and try different poses and different looks, because if you keep doing the same poses all the time for years and years, then it starts to get stale and boring. And that's why it's important to experiment, try different poses, and kind of step out of that comfort zone to be able to get other amazing shots, because I can guarantee you that there are a whole bunch of other poses that would look great as well, but you just have to go out there and try them. The last mistake is making your neck disappear or creating a double chin. Some of the ways not to do that is to create space. Always be mindful of where your chin is to your shoulder. For example, if you're taking a side profile and you do this, it's okay, but what if you did this? So there's a space and you can see your neck. It's not fully gone like this, but you still get the same type of image that you were going for. And to not make your neck disappear, there's a trick that a lot of Hollywood stars and models use. It feels awkward, but it looks great on camera. And that is your back straight, of course. And then, so this is normally, and then you kind of stick your head out a little bit and chin down. I'll show you again. This is normal. Stick your head out and chin down. But it looks great on camera. And one pro tip I will tell you when posing for photos, the more uncomfortable the pose is, the better it'll look on camera. And I know this from experience because some of my favorite photos have been where I feel so odd and uncomfortable in the pose itself, but it looks so good on camera. So don't worry if you feel uncomfortable in the pose, it's gonna translate well. I hope you enjoyed those tips, and I'm just finishing up my coffee right now. If you follow me on Instagram, you know how much I love my coffee. So if you want to support my channel and just say thank you for the videos that I create, feel free to buy me a coffee and using the link in the description below. And if you did enjoy these tips, please let me know. And also leave a comment on any ideas or future videos you would like me to create. And let me know any challenges that you're having as well in terms of posing or photography. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.